Hello and welcome back to another Space Engineers showcase video. In today's video we're looking at another fighter ship, and this one is called the OSC Manticore Stock, which is this lovely thing right here. So this is a fairly large small block ship featuring dual cockpits at the front and plenty of gatling guns around the ship to blast a large hole through your enemies. Pressing F10 and finding the Manticore in the spawn menu, there it is. The Manticore stock is 10,501 small blocks using the Sparks of the Future DLC packs. It utilizes no mods, but it can be set up to use the shield mod because it does have a small gap set in the top there for you to place the block inside. We'll just ignore that for the moment, give it a thumbs up, move all the way around to the very front, and we'll have a quick look around the outside. So at the very front here, this is what we get. We've got a camera front and center with two gatling guns surrounding it so we can line up our shots precisely. Just below that we've got some atmospheric thrusters along with some hydrogen thrusters to help us stop, with a spotlight so we can get a good view in dark places. As we move around the side here, we're going to see our dual cockpit setup. Both of them are exactly the same with their control setup and what they can do, so if one ever took damage you could just hop into the rear one and continue your journey. Continuing along the side there, this is the first of many gatling turrets, and we've got more hydrogen thrusters on the side there, just to help on our left and our right. So coming over to this part of right here, we've got two atmospheric thrusters to help us while we're on a planet, and we do have a small little doorway with a ramp just below it. If I was to bring up the HUD and then just come over to this tab, wherever it's gone, there it is, then press number 1, we can follow that all the way up, and now seal in the people inside to make sure they can't escape when the going gets tough. As we were to continue around the side here, we come to our wing, which features a couple of gatling guns on there, one turret and one regular static one atmospheric thruster, and a camera to help view these sides. Yes, that just comes all the way around over to here. Then moving towards the back, this is what we get. So we've got a bunch of atmospheric thrusters, we've got 6 large hydrogen thrusters, and a couple ion thrusters to help us in space. If we were to move up and above past all these, we come to some lovely black blocks at the top here, acting as little fins. We can see another atmospheric thruster right there, a couple more hydrogen thrusters, even more turrets, and even more atmospheric thrusters. Moving along to the top here, this little black block right here can be replaced. You simply delete the blocks there and put in the shield mod if you want to use that. The ship was designed to use the shield mod, but it looks like the creator has removed it and made it vanilla only. Yes, this gap right here, these black blocks are perfect for the size of the 2 blocks needed. Yes, moving towards the front, there's another gatling turret, there's our cockpit setup. If we were to come all the way down, and underneath this, past our camera, there's even more hydrogen thrusters. We've got a camera and connector set up to dock this thing up and to recharge this with hydrogen and ammunition. Moving towards the back here, we're going to see the first of a few wheels. Now this is a odd setup because they do not fold out, they do not deploy. Instead, when we land on the ground, we can choose to lower the height of the wheels and sort of use it to wheel ourselves into position. It's not great on uneven surfaces, but it is nice to have if you just need to wiggle it around a bit without taking off. Yes, just continue along towards the back there, we can see the bottoms of our atmospheric thrusters. There's another set of wheels, another camera connector setup, and right at the very back there, there is our landing gear to plop ourselves down on. Yes, that is a very brief look around the outside, and it does look fantastic with what's going on with it. A lot of detail, a lot of thrusters, and a lot of firepower. So just grabbing hold of my character, who is sitting in the front cockpit, moving all the way around to the side here, we've got ourselves a handy little button, which will be to deploy the ramp, and allow us to go inside. Now opening up the doorway and hopping down onto the floor, this is what we get. We've got 4 seats in here and 2 programmable blocks. We are airtight and we do have air vents inside to make sure we don't suffocate. There we are good for transporting through space. Yes, just coming into the programmable block over here, this is our automatic LCD screen script. There we go, and on the opposite side, opening this up and editing it, we've got a blank programmable block for you to do whatever with. So if you want to have the auto dawn airlock script on here, or maybe even something like Blog's Fancy Flying, you can just slap that in there and be on your way. Yes, we do have an access point for a container right there, and at the front, we've got some light and an air vent. Opening up this doorway, we've got a button right above it, which will deploy the ramp. Coming out of there, and then pressing the button, like the opposite side, and now deployed all the way back up. And that is the interior. So what we can do now is just come into the cockpits at the front there. So just bring up the HUD. We can see we've got controls for our gatling guns, got some controls for our power, our cameras and wheels and whatnot. Moving to the front, the exact same setup. So just come into third person view and pressing number 1, this is going to be for our gatling guns around the ship to fire them all at once. Number 2 is going to be to stockpile our hydrogen tanks on and off, and number 3 is going to be to switch off our hydrogen thrusters around the ship. Switching off number 4 is for our ion thrusters around the ship, and number 5 is for our atmospheric thrusters, and as you can see there, the hydrogen is not enough to keep us floating on the Mars-like planet. So we need them both switched on, and away we go. Number 6 is for our battery to auto or recharge, and that will knock off all of your power if you were to set that to recharge. And number 7 is simply to lock our landing gear, with 8 and 9 being to lock and unlock our connectors. Coming to tab number 2, this is what we get. Number 6 is to switch on our turrets on and off around the ship. Number 7 would be for the shield block to turn it on and off if it was present on this, or if you want to add it on yourself. Number 8 and number 9 is for our reactor on and off, and our O2H2 generator on and off. Tab number 3, we then got controls for our cameras, lights and connectors. Number 1, 2, 3, 6 and 7 is for our cameras around the ship. Coming out of there and pressing number 5, this is going to be for our lights around the ship, so our blinking red and green lights no longer blink. Switching them back on, they resume their little pattern. Coming to tab number 4, this is going to be for opening and closing our little ramps at the side there. So number 1 is going to be for this side, and number 2 will be for the opposite side. Number 3 is to close up the doors. You might have just seen it there, it was very quick. It's simply a manual close all for the pilot to do in case your passengers are very lazy. Bring the free camera underneath the ship, wherever the ship's gone, there it is. And looking at our wheels, in fact we'll do it from this angle like so. Number 4 is going to be to lower our wheels all the way down, with number 5 to raise them all the way up. If I drop them all the way down then press number 6, I'll just reset it back to how it was. So yes, we'll just come back to that a bit later. In fact, I'll deploy them all the way down. Then pressing number 7 will be for our projector on and off to repair this thing up. Number 8 and number 9 is for our beacon and antenna on and off. Tab number 5, 6 and 7 is empty. So what we'll do before we fly it around is take control of this, and we'll just drop it down onto this fairly flat terrain, and we'll see how it goes. All the way down like so, nice and easy. We're going to drop ourselves onto the ground. We're going to switch off our thrusters, and there we go. So now we can sort of wheel ourselves around thanks to those wheels, and we will be dragging our bottom along the ground, but it is enough just to wheel yourself into a hangar to repair this thing up, or if you ran out of fuel, you can use it as a makeshift base to just sort of roam around. Any kind of lumps and bumps is going to be quite disastrous for this thing. Yes, it is a nice thing to have in an emergency. So switching our thrusters back on and lifting off from the ground, we'll now do a quick little thruster test, then we'll slam this into one of my rovers over there. Yes, moving forwards on the Mars-like planet, this is what we get. We've got some nice speed thanks to our large hydrogen thrusters and our few atmospheric thrusters pushing us along. Coming to a stop, we are quite slow, so it would be recommended to do a 180, considering how sensitive the controls are and how easy it is to pull off. So there we go. Moving left, and then moving right, we've got some nice speed with that. Moving down, and then moving up. We appear to be about the same, bearing in mind that the Mars-like planet has 0.9 G's gravity. There we go, and then waving my mouse around, like you saw earlier, this is extremely floaty, there is no weight on this ship. You may want to turn it down a little bit, but once again, this is personal preference. Just find the gyroscopes and just sort of switch them down a little bit. There we go, there's a tiny bit of meat on there, it's not too floaty. Yes, there is that. So switching to the gatling guns and switching to our cameras wherever they're gone. Zooming all the way forwards, we can now start shooting into the rovers down there. We might be out of range to even damage them. That's a small mining rover. You can see the arm there has got hinges all the way up because it likes to fold in onto itself. Yes, to finish off this video, we'll just slam ourselves straight into it. There will be a link to it in the description below if you do wish to download and play around with it yourself. Highly recommend you do. I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.